Thank you for coming to my presentation, Art as a Communication Interface for Watershed System Resiliency. My name is Adrienne Mason. I'm a master's candidate at the University of Waterloo, Canada, under the supervision of Dr. Stephen Murphy. Art has shown increasing promise as a method for communicating the science and attendant need of watershed restoration work to both practitioners and the public. My research explores whether an exhibit of eco-art can convey the message that restoring connectivity and capacity can increase watershed system resiliency. Literature review showed support for the message that restoring the potential for water storage capacity on the landscape and lateral hydrological connectivity could increase watershed system resiliency. And even influence precipitation patterns in small water cycles. The emerging discipline of socio-hydrology endeavors to link water management regimes with both the small and large water cycles that make up the global water balance, and further proposes that changing our water management regimes towards restoration could help to mitigate aspects of the climate crisis. The macro-scale environmental problem that I chose to situate this research within is that climate change will increase the intensity of the Earth's hydrological cycle in the next 100 years. This will cause more extreme precipitation events and affect water quality and quantity in local watershed systems around the globe. This will exacerbate current environmental problems in these local watersheds. Our collective human behavior has become geological in scale, in that it is not dissimilar to that of the KT asteroid that impacted Earth and effectively ended the era of the dinosaurs. Many experts agree that if we're not careful, we could tip out of the Anthropocene epoch into a new Earth system state without the predictive and supportive conditions on which humanity has relied. The scale and complexity of this macro-scale environmental problem can become a barrier to communicating watershed restoration messages to a broad audience, in part because it can trigger eco-anxiety or environmental dysphoria, and also that discipline-specific language can impede understanding. Ecological art can be used as a tool to bypass these communication barriers and allow people to engage with difficult environmental problems in novel ways. A specific research gap for eco-art being needed as a tool for communicating the importance of resilience in complex watershed systems has been identified. In particular, water cycle diagrams are needed that incorporate connections between people and water across spatial and temporal planes within the context of known global hydrology. The Hollings loop describes a system that is subject to 4 phases: growth, conservation, chaos, and reorganization. The x-axis of this loop is on a scale of connectivity, and the y-axis of this loop is on a scale of potential energy. A resilient system is able to move through these 4 phases, even in the presence of environmental stressors. In this way, watersheds could be viewed as functional systems, ones that have dynamic equilibrium states that support socio-ecological communities. We want to maintain these beneficial functional states, and it is proposed we can do this by restoring connectivity and capacity. Hollings hydrology loops were created in an attempt to incorporate watershed restoration messaging with Hollings loop, showing a resilient and adaptive system, and Bernoulli's equation on how water moves in response to changing the potential energy component of a system. This was done by inserting water into a closed Lemonnier-Skate shape. The oscillation of the Hollings hydrology loops is meant to portray a watershed system functioning in a resilient and dynamic equilibrium state. I constructed several kinetic sculptures, one that represent the small water cycle, another to represent the Earth system state water balance, and house them within a watershed as part of an eco-art exhibit that was shown 8 times to varied audiences to see if it helped convey the message that human behavior now affects the functioning of almost every watershed on Earth. If people made informed decisions to act in a restorative way towards local watersheds by increasing capacity and connectivity, we may be able to influence hydrological feedback loops and small water cycles, which could help to prevent tipping the Earth system state water balance into an unfavorable regime. In a complex socio-ecological system, the problem of watershed resiliency is wicked, requiring adaptive integrated watershed management planning. I propose that art can be used to bypass some barriers of necessary cross-disciplinary communication. I further propose that this interactive exhibit of eco-art can act as a medium for the message that increasing capacity and connectivity can restore watershed system resiliency. Restored watersheds can influence local patterns of precipitation. If enough watersheds were functionally restored, they could mitigate aspects of the climate crisis.